Alright guys, well, you see a black screen. I feel like this should be a daily thing, because I kind of like this idea. Because now, introducing myself. Hello everybody, it's Anthony Beyond my Mission Start podcast. I have some good news and I got some bad news. The good news, I'm not alone this week. The bad news, it's Greg.
Hi.
Greg is back from his adventures in the East Coast with our friends at Half Empty
Energy.
Yeah.
You'll get it one day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe it.
I'm not even jet lagged, and I'm still stumbling over my words. But yeah, he's back. We got some news topics for the past week. We're gonna talk about not a whole lot of news, but a good amount, especially in one specific area that I think me and Greg could get into. But with that being said, again, thank you guys for coming by. If you haven't already, hit that follow button. And yeah, so with that being said, let's start with something that you and I, Greg, are pretty fond of when they started out, and now they're done. Oh, I need to. Nah, screw it. GT game trailers closed down, and reformed to make a Patreon page called Easy Allies. Now,
Who was this again?
game trailers. The guys who make game trailers.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't hear the company. I just heard somebody was making, because I'm typing this out to let everyone know that I'm doing this.
Right.
I totally missed who you said.
No, it's fine. Oh, actually, speaking of which, hang on a minute. Boom. There we go. Okay. So, for those who don't know, game trailers has been around for about 13 years, which is crazy to think about in the age of covering games media. They were kind of, I guess, they were the pioneer when it came to video content. They were the first guys to have, like, just game trailers, gameplay, everything. This is like prior to YouTube. So usually I went there for majority of the video content that I want to go see, or any reviews I want to go see. Not to mention the animations are really good. It's kind of where Jeff Keighley kind of got his big start in the game industry as well, among others as well. That worked for game trailers. It wasn't long to ago. It was recently that game trailers they shut down after 13 years of being online for a very long time. And for a lot of us who grew up on that, we're pretty sad, but at the same time understand, like, this is the way the business works sometimes. So people were kind of asking, like, you guys should make a Patreon, you guys should do this and that. And they didn't say anything for the past week or two. They were on the podcast with Greg Miller on their show, kind of hinting at it for a little bit, but then, which I need to go back and listen to actually. But they then eventually came out with the announcement that yes, we are hosting a Patreon page. It is called Easy Allies, which definitely you guys should never check out. Actually, I'm gonna bring it up in a minute just to see what they're offering. So, at the time of this recording, Easy Allies already has 3,830 Patreons with 32,851 per month, which is awesome. Good stuff. So it seems like they're well on their way in terms of, like, getting back to what they're used to doing. Yeah, it's definitely good to see these guys back at it again to the content they've been doing. But yeah, just want to start a show off with that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, to me, about Patreon, just to kind of throw this out there real quick, I don't know if any of our Sacramento watchers know of him, or if anyone just in general knows who the fuck I'm talking about. But there's a kind of a toy reviewer guy on YouTube named Sean Long.
Yeah, and that guy I kind of know. Yeah.
Okay. He had a video, I don't know how long ago. I didn't really pay that close attention because, to be honest, I don't watch toy review videos.
Right.
So I don't watch his content a lot, but I do follow him on social media, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he not too long ago started a Patreon. He was kind of like, here's the thing, is like, I make money on YouTube, but it's not enough to make, to buy these toys and still make a living.
Right, right.
But I'd like to do this as much as I can full time for you guys. So I'm starting a Patreon, which is what most people say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I want to do this for you. So tell me, you know, if you want to help me out, help me out. If not, that's fine too. Just watch and share my videos. And that's all his Patreon video is. That's all it is, right?
Right, right, yeah.
Some dude who has like 100 subscribers decided to do a scathing video on him, and the whole premise is that because he shows toys and the toy community doesn't give a shit about making money, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea that they're pissed off at him is that reviewing toys is nothing more than a hobby to them. And I commented, and I was just like, you have got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what it is. If you are making videos to entertain others, whether it be just reviews or something other than that,
Mm-hmm.
you need to make money to do it. You need to have that kind of sustainable income to do it. And so I love that Patreon is a thing. I love that people want to use Patreon and tell others, like, help me out. Or not. It's up to you.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I feel like that part of what you were getting at was that people are not happy with it.
No. I'm the point I'm getting at is the fact that I just like to see these guys come back and do basically what they've been doing before. I haven't heard any particular backlash in terms of like what they're doing. I've heard very positive stuff about what they've been doing before. Because Game Trailers was around for a very long time. We're talking about 13 years, and a lot of people grew up on their content, either be reviews or video content and so on.
Yeah.
So, but I can understand the fact that. I can understand what your point though. I think definitely if you are making, and as an artist as well, if you are making content, it is definitely worth your time to get paid for it. If you were, if we like right now, we're creating videos, we're doing podcasts, we're doing all of our other stuff. You know, right now, what's our reward? We get to go to conventions for free. That's one way of payment. Sometimes we'll get the occasional, advertisers who would come and pay us money to put advertising stuff on our site. But generally, yes, like the work you do, definitely should be paid for.
Yeah, and that's all. That's all I guess I'm getting at. I was just using that as a linchpin to be like, I love the idea of like Patreon and things like that, because especially like the internet's a really hard place to kind of make money.
It is.
So you do have to rely on your fans, and yeah, I have no problems with it. I think that's great that Game Trailers is coming back or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Also, shout outs to Machinima. Anyways, yeah, just want to say, start out the news on happy notes because we got some other interesting information for this past week. So let's go from the death and revival of GT to something that I'm not quite sure if you've been following so long, but something that has been for the past week been either real or not real. So this past week, the Nintendo NX controller was quote-unquote leaked. Now, there was the image that was leaked on NeoGAF, and it was also being spread around the internet. Eventually, gaming news outlets caught on to this and was looking at it, and they weren't quite sure what to believe, if this was a real controller or if it was not. Only reason why is because the controller itself fit the patent that Nintendo did place for the controller. And it matched up perfectly. So people were kind of questioning, was this real? Was this not? Well, it turns out it was fake. It was fake. The guy who made it put out a video, I believe today or yesterday. No, I think it was yesterday actually. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. And they put out a video of how he made it in 3D, in 3D program, imported to Photoshop, and then did his magic from there. It was funny. There were even the investigation of this image, people were kind of speculating just on the reflection of the controller of the tree. We're kind of trying to match that with the company that supposedly this is being worked on, and it was getting really meta and really deep in terms of is this real, is this not? Turns out to be fake, but But yeah, that's been kind of been the thing this past week in terms of like people trying to figure this out. Um,
I kind of like when I was in Raleigh. Brian had mentioned it while he was playing a game, and I think I even said out loud, I was just like, "That looks fake, man. That cannot be a real controller because there's just something about it that's off, like just really, really badly off." And he was kind of like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, the fact that there's no buttons. Like, I get that it's a touchscreen, but that's unreliable. Like." Having a controller that has actual button presses is totally necessary, or at least some kind of responsive thing to it, kind of like the Steam controller.
right.
Like Nintendo's kind of shown that you can have a wireless controller that's attached to the system that can do touchscreen to TV, like that's obvious. But even then, there's a slight delay. So it's not great for gaming purposes, especially if you're playing an action game, which is what most fucking games are.
Right.
There is a level of reactionary, like, especially, like, you cannot play Mario Maker. Well, I guess Mario Maker's not a perfect example. There's just a lot of situations where it's not great.
Right.
And so I think that's why the NX, in my opinion, is actually steering away from motion controls. Because the one-to-one is just not there.
Right.
Having a controller that literally is 2 joysticks and then a screen, first off, I don't see how that's going to work. And it just, in my mind, it made sense that wasn't the controller they wanted to go for.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that, while you are correct, Greg, one of the things that was talked about or rumored from Nintendo is that they want to have a controller with faceless buttons. They want to have it to where it's like touchscreen. And that was a conversation that was held. So that kind of added into potentially, is this could be a real controller? We don't know, because that discussion did take place. But again, this was fake, but it then, again, leads to more speculation. It's like, okay, so then E3 time, we're going to find out what this controller or the console is going to be. Whether it's going to be something very similar to the Wii U or a completely new design with controllers and whatnot. So I think the main point of all of this is the fact that check your sources, and also E3 is going to be freaking awesome this year. There's so many things that are up in the air that are in question that I am very curious to see what the answer is going to be or what they could provide at E3 this year. So,
yeah, I agree. I think, I'm really excited to see what their system is going to be, because I've predicted for a while now that Nintendo's very much this type of company, and I've talked to a few people about this, and it makes sense. They do innovation and then refinement. Innovation, then refinement. You look at the NES, innovation. Super Nintendo, refinement. And then you go 64, innovation. The GameCube, refinement. The Wii, innovation. Wii U, refinement.
Yep.
So their next console should be innovation. At least I would think it would. But I don't know what direction that innovation could possibly go. Then again, it's Nintendo, so I'm sure they'll surprise us.
Yeah, definitely.
But I've also kind of had this idea that maybe, just maybe, they won't innovate, and they'll try to play it safe. Like, I kind of have this feeling that Nintendo is going to make a console that is... How do I say this correctly? They're going to make a console that competes with the Xbox and the PlayStation. That they're going to have a system, essentially, that they're like, it's both for kids and adults because it can compare to the graphics of today. Now, Brian makes a point. I don't want my Nintendo console to be that. I like it when it's a little behind on the times because I feel that it fits their games better. Don't necessarily disagree. But Nintendo's a money-making company. They're still a company that wants to make money. So they're going to do things that are more in line with them making money. So I could be wrong, and they could innovate.
Right.
I'm excited to see what happens, but that's my idea.
Right.
I feel like they're not going to innovate this year.
Right.
Or this upcoming next generation.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of questions to be held when it comes to what exactly are we going to expect from Nintendo. The idea of having them, again, catch up to Microsoft and Sony in terms of graphics right now, that was done before in the last console they did. And, it proved to be, pretty okay for the time being. But then the next generation console came out, and PS4 and Xbox One have, again, better graphics than Nintendo. They're back from behind. I don't know. There's definitely some speculation questions that need to be answered. I think that Nintendo will, hopefully, will at E3. But if anything, like, prediction pie in the sky wise, I think
Pie in the sky wise.
yes. We're going to take it back to the old days of manner of speech. I think in terms of what I think may happen, I think that Nintendo saw that what they were trying to innovate with the Wii U from the Wii didn't do as well as they thought it would be. It's not because of the system, not because of the system itself. Well, Dead by actually was kind of that. But again, what really hurt them was the third-party support that they've been trying to get these third parties hop on board. But the problem is that their controller, is vastly different from the other ones with the motion control. So maybe you're right, Greg. Maybe they won't go away from motion control and just go back to the classic, controller, so that it makes it easier for third parties and other companies to jump on board and say, okay, we can make a game on this system because it's very similar to the other two. But at the same time, it's like if that's what they're doing, then the only difference between the next Nintendo console and the other two consoles is just exclusives, and among other few things.
Yep. Which also I have a prediction, not in the next couple years, but I feel that Microsoft and Sony could make an alliance and come out with a console that they work together on.
I kind of would not be surprised because
with this recently with them both coming out saying yes, we're competing in a market that is clearly a competitive market, but we don't hate each other by any measure, and we'd love to work with each other on something in the future. And then all of a sudden this cross-play sort of thing, they're both yeah, we're down for it, is really showing to me that they are becoming less and less competitive, and that we could have that one console market in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, at least with Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of crossplay, hang on a minute. So last week, I talked about the fact that I wanted to have Nintendo and not Nintendo. I wanted to have Microsoft and Sony come down together and discuss this possibility of a cross-network play between both Microsoft and Sony, PS4 and Xbox One. There were discussions that Microsoft wanted to have to put this idea out there, and basically labeling the Sony guys as the bad guys, saying we would love to have this idea, but Sony doesn't want to do it. Ask them about it, and Sony comes out and says we will be open to the idea if publishers and companies want to do it. Well, that such publisher has came out and said that we have figured it out. And
yeah.
So Rocket League, the guys who make Rocket League had said that we had got it figured out, and I got the article here from GameSpot.com by Tamar Hussain. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. So I'll read the quote. The only thing we have to do now is, this is from speaking in an interview with GameSpot. Sonic's vice president Jeremy Donham said that the only thing left to work out was the politics of the arrangement. The only thing we have to do now is sort of find out where we stand politically with everyone, and that it's full steam ahead to finish the solution that we already started. He said, technologically, cannot talk today. Technologically, everything works.
Technologically,
yes. We've got it figured out. Just a little bit of time to get everything up and running. Right now, excitement is the best way to put it. We just want to get it in there and make it happen. Elation is probably another word I would use. We're just excited. The guys who make Rocket League have figured out a way to connect both PSN and Xbox Live, potentially connecting them together to have Rocket League played against console v console together.
I can't imagine that it's that hard. People have kind of talked about this for years, connecting basically any console multiplayer to PC multiplayer.
Yes, and that's the key. That is the key because like one of the big things about that is that we have a few games right now that have that connection between you can play PC against consoles. The one I'm thinking of right now, Street Fighter 5, I can play against PS4 on my PC. And Xbox One can play Rocket League players from Xbox One and PC. So there's definitely a connection. There's definitely a connection there that is key to making that happen. So definitely, I think that. Yeah, I definitely think that this is something we're leading into. But the thing is, though, is like the politics of the matter. Like, is Sony really going to agree to this? Like, are they going to say, like, okay, we're going to agree with Microsoft to have this happen? Or are they going to keep it separate? Because, as a company, you got to make money. And something I talked about last week. As a company, you got to make money. You gotta have it, exclusive. Otherwise, why buy one console over the other? There's a lot of politics involved when it comes to this, and I hope for, I think, the future of gaming. I hope that Sony and Microsoft just sit down together and hash things out. I don't know what's your full thoughts on this, Greg?
I think that like I said earlier, the future of where we're going in multiplayer gaming is fascinating, and I'm really curious to kind of see its fruition. I think, and I've said this for years, a single, like, if there was a single console that did all like the super high graphic, like had all the fucking action games on one console, and then Nintendo had their console with exclusives, that shit would be perfect. Imagine a Sony Microsoft console that's $600 has every fucking exclusive that you've ever wanted on both consoles. Imagine playing Halo and Uncharted on the same fucking console. And then, like, yes, it's $600, but, like, it's the best thing you could get for that particular thing. And then Nintendo goes, yeah, but you can play all our Nintendo games for $250 over here. You're like, done. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Like, I love that idea. I absolutely fucking adore that idea.
Mm-hmm. No longer do we have to decide, which console we want to be on because only a particular amount of friends are on the PS4 rather than the Xbox One. Or I may have like a bunch more on Xbox One than have a PS4. So there's definitely a lot of good stuff that can definitely happen with this idea, and I hope that it will eventually happen in the future, which may lead to the single console future that may or may end up happening. And that I remember that discussion long ago about the one console future, and there's definitely it looks like as of right now there's talks about it, but hopefully the Rocket League guys are able to figure this out. But hopefully in the future, hopefully during E3, or hopefully when they sit down and have the discussion that they could work out something, a deal, or whatnot. But definitely, I think for the good of the gaming future, I think this is a really, really good idea. So, going from the Rocket League into the possible future to something else also, going to the future that was predicted in the 80s, and we're talking about VR. Now, we have discussed that, Greg and I discussed in this podcast the fact that we think VR is not going to be a big thing, and it's going to be a fad, or it's going to be, short-lived, just like the 3D TVs. But
well, I think I have to kind of say something real quick. Calling it a fad isn't necessarily fair, because I don't think it'll be a quote-unquote a fad, but I think it'll be a gimmicky thing, and that's not a bad thing. I have to clarify. When I say gimmick, I don't mean bad.
Right.
What I mean by gimmick is that I love Rock Band. Shit's a fucking gimmick. Like, it's designed for a specific thing. And I really feel that VR the way that they want to produce it is in that same vein. Do I think it'll be fun? Fuck yes, it'll be fun. Do I think it'll be worth your time and money? Yeah, probably. Do I think it'll go past, like, a few games here and there that you occasionally have to use it for? Yes, that's exactly what it'll be for. It won't be for the long term. It won't be to replace TVs or anything like that. At least I don't feel it will. I know that some people I've spoken to, because as a matter of fact, Brian and I, on the way to the airport, had this conversation. He is absolutely in line that it will replace the TV. Like, not anytime soon, but way down the line it'll replace the TV. And kind of what I've had him understand is that when I play video games and I have my headset on, I take that fucker off and I'm relieved. And it's just a headset. Like, he talks about, I don't like having things on my ears. So let's say you're playing a game for a few hours. You'd rather have a goggle set on your head for a few hours? Why? Like, I get that VR's fun, but it's fun for a minute.
The thing I would argue is that, first off, I think TV's dying. I don't think TV's going to be in the future. I think that we're going to stick to PCs and computers when it comes to entertainment. That point number one. Point number two.
When I say TV, I'm talking about having a monitor or a TV device to play your game on.
Okay, right. Yeah, definitely that point.
Not TV in like the sense of like having cable or watching Hulu.
Right. But the way that the VR has been pointing at this direction, it is, from what I've seen, it could potentially can lead up to that, to where I can get a VR, Oculus, Vive, whatever, and I could not have a computer at all, and I can just have that by itself, because then the VR by itself is computer by itself. At least when it comes to like the Microsoft AR, which literally has the Microsoft 10 OS installed in it.
Well, you still need a device to play through it.
Right.
Like having a VR headset, whatever it may be, isn't just like the thing by itself. You have to have a PC to play it with or a console to play it with. Like, it's right. You have to have a device.
I mean, in the future, we're talking about like down the road. I could potentially see that happening. As right now, no.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, like right now, you definitely need a VR. Oops, I'm keeping my mic. You definitely need the VR headset, and then you definitely need your computer and then your monitor, definitely, to make it happen. The reason why I bring this up is because recently, this written on uploadvr.com, Valve wants VR to run on a graphics card from 2012. And I'll read a quote from here. As long as the GPU can hit 45 megahertz, we want for people to be able to run VR. Palakas told Upload VR after the talk. We said the recommended spec is a 970, same as Oculus, but we do want lesser GPUs to work. We're trying to reduce the cost of VR. And it goes on to kind of explain just what other possibilities are trying to run with older cards. So definitely Valve is, because here's the thing with the VR that is like people are starting to realize is that to run VR, the amount of graphical power you need is pretty high. On top of
the reason that it's so high is because instead of a isolated single camera in one place, the camera is now mobile. And it's mobile to a one-to-one motion tracker attached to your fucking head.
Yep.
So the graphics need to be higher just to handle that. It's a whole fucking thing, and that's another reason why I'm like, it's so expensive right now that the people who get it are going to be like, yeah, this is fucking rad. Yeah. There'll be like 12 games that come out for it, and then other producers, other companies are like, we want to do this really cool game, but we just have no interest in using the fucking Oculus with it, or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. I fucking guarantee it, because it happened with the Wii, it happened with the Kinect and the fucking PlayStation Eye. Like, It happened with the PlayStation Move. Like, there's so many things that I could fucking point out that the developer was like, this is it. This is the and it never fucking went anywhere.
Right. I think the thing to point out is that the prices right now for VR, the cheapest VR you can technically get is when it comes out is the Sony Microsoft VR, which is going to be priced at $400 by itself. Although there's some bundle rumors that it's going to come out with, and that's with the VR for PS4. What they didn't tell you is that you also need the Sony camera alongside it to work with the PlayStation VR headset. The Oculus Rift is going for around $600 last I checked, and the Valve HTC Vive is going for around $800. Prices are not cheap.
Jesus Christ, $800?
Yes. And only because
I'd heard the fucking. Are you talking about the PlayStation one?
No. The $800 is for Valve's HTC Vive.
Oh, Valve. Okay.
Yeah, because it comes with the headset, and then because it uses like different devices to detect the space in your room, they use that as well. So and you get I think two controllers alongside with it. I think in their game too. So you still get a little bang for your buck when it comes to the HTC Vive, but still. $800 is costing a lot, and this is something I talked about last week. The question really going to come down to is, what's the market going to say? What's the market going to say? What's the response from the market that are going to buy this? It's going to be a question that's going to be answered relatively soon. I think this week, actually, or no, yeah, upcoming this week, because the Oculus Rift comes out next week, and I am very curious to see how it does, how much it sell, and what is the precedent for the other VR devices for later down the year. So,
yeah, that's oh my god, that's an interesting. Wow. Well, that price is going to be an issue immediately, but I think on that note, the people who are going to afford it are going to buy it. They're going and this goes for everything across the board. The games that are going to come out with it, like some are going to work really well, some are going to be real shit. And then it'll drop in price, and then more people will get it, but it'll become a situation where it's like another thing about gaming that's so fascinating to me that I think a lot of people aren't kind of putting into play. Like, the best VR game that I've seen to date is Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Yes, that's really cool. That's a really cool game.
But that is a multiplayer game. There needs to be a bunch of things like that with the VR stuff, because imagine, if you will, a future where VR has replaced TVs. Those stupid fucking goggles have replaced just monitors and whatnot. And you go, well, I want to play with my friends over at my house, so everyone, either bring over your VR headset or I have to buy 4. That's insane to me. Now it'd have to be cheap for that to be a thing. It'd have to be the price of what a controller is now, which is $60.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be more than 100, or people just aren't going to care enough. And this is all coming from how the Wii U to the Wii U, or not Wii U, but the Wii to the Wii U had sold. Like, there's so many situations and parallels to that sort of thing where people in general just don't care about more than just having a controller and staring at a TV. It's the absolute truth. Doing anything above that is not something that people generally get, like the majority of people give a shit about. So I guess that's another reason why I say it's a gimmick, is just it doesn't come across as something that's going to be a viable source of a way for people to kind of play their games. And it'll be a fun way. It'll be an interesting way. And I'm sure a lot of the games that'll come out of it will be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're still doing this podcast in 5 years, you can sit there and say I'm either wrong or right.
Yep, in 5 years I have grown very old. I'd have grown a massive beard. Yeah, I would become literally an old man. Not really, but still. Actually, what I will say is that I think the VR aspect of the gaming, honestly do not think that it will go well. Honestly, I think that the main way we're gonna play games is still gonna be with a controller and a TV or a computer monitor. But I could be wrong. I honestly think that VR, for the purpose of everything else, that it can be used for multiple other uses, I think is probably the better, broader aspect. Like I can see people who use VR to figure out how to learn how to operate on somebody, or use it to look at space, or in my case.
Well, I mean, look at the Kinect. Like it's a gimmick. It like I use my Kinect primarily to have a camera on me while I stream. Mm-hmm. That's almost it. Mm-hmm. I don't talk to it almost ever because it's not responsive enough.
Right.
But people have modded them out to be like important things when it comes to just other things in general. Like people have used them to do great things with it. So I do see that with the VR. I see the potential for it. I see what I want it to become. I just don't see the entertainment market really just advancing from it. I just don't see it.
Right, definitely. So yeah, there's definitely some things that definitely I am very curious to see what the answers are going to be. I think by next week we'll find out a small look into the answer we're looking for when the Oculus Rift comes out next week. So by next week we'll have probably a better idea of what's going on. But yeah, for now, again, speculation, predictions. We are Miss Cleo of the gaming industry.
Yeah, we are far from that, and we're probably going to be fucking horribly wrong. But
hey, we were right about poking. We were right about that. That was cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I've been right about when it comes to how things work or like not how things work, but how people buy things when it comes to video games. Mm-hmm. But I've been wrong from time to time.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
My favorite thing that I was right about was fucking Mass Effect 3. Good lord.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I don't mean in an opinion about the ending. I mean quite literally, like people were like, I want this and this and this, and I was like, did you not pay attention to 2 and 1 and how they ended, and then talking to other friends or looking at videos of how people ended it, and it's the fucking same game.
Yep. Definitely.
That's how BioWare makes their fucking games, is it's the illusion of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Does that not, none of that matter to you, right? You didn't pay attention to that? Okay, well 3's going to be fucking disappointing to you then.
And sure enough.
Yep.
So going from one future to potentially another future, and we're talking about the future of Pokemon. So recently, they've been doing some new screenshots as well as some video of Pokemon Go in action, and basically they kind of use an Android as an example to show off the video of Pokemon Go, and the GPS of you, but like just as like one of the Pokemon trainers like Ash, and like you kind of detecting what next Pokemon are coming near you. And then when you go to your phone, you see, like Ivysaurs you see on screen. Now this game has been very sought after because a lot of people are wanting to have this game because of what they saw in the trailer and the potential of what a Pokemon World game would be. And after looking at some of the footage of it, it's interesting per se when it comes to what they're trying to do. I was thinking like maybe you get to have your own Pokemon and fight against other Pokemon trainers, but right now the example they're showing is basically how to capture a Pokemon with like Pokemon Ball, Master Ball, and so on, and you can level up. It's cool. People are really excited for this game and this idea. Will it deliver to what people's expectations? I'm not quite sure, honestly. I'm starting to think that maybe
I was right.
Yeah. maybe this isn't. Maybe this game is a little overblown. Maybe this is just a little what's the word I'm looking for? Overrated. Dare I say? So I don't know. I'm starting to question that a little bit, but right now, people go nuts for Pokemon, no doubt. Like you see,
it's like I said a long time ago. It's Like that video, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is what I said it was going to be. Well, I said one of two things. I said it was either going to be like, you go to the area, your phone's like, hey, there's a fucking Bulbasaur in the area. Do you want to catch it? Yes. And then it goes to a different screen entirely. I said, or it'll be an AR situation where it's like, you can see the grass and the Pokemon's right there. And if you move your phone slightly, it looks like the Pokemon just slid like 2 inches to the left, but that's fine.
Right.
Which is exactly what it fucking looks like. But like that's, I mean, it's nothing more than an AR simulator with Pokemon.
Right.
People are gonna love it. People are gonna fucking go gaga over it. I guarantee it. It's. I mean, they kind of already are.
Right.
I'll play it for a little while. I mean, as long as it's a free app.
Yeah.
And even if it's cheap, I'll probably still get it. But I think the factor, like I said a long time ago, and something that maybe they'll talk about at E3, maybe it'll come out in a leak. I don't know. But the battling, because they're not showing that's not in the video.
So here's the thing. Actually, I should correct myself on. I actually do have the page for it. Yes, the rebattles, and I'll just read this verbatim because this is from the Pokemon developers themselves. Players will walk to hatch previously acquired eggs that might reveal new Pokemon. Eggs and other special items such as Pokeballs can be acquired at Pokestops, located at interesting places such as at public art installations, historical markers, museums, and monuments. Yes, there will be battles. Players will be encouraged to join one of 3 teams in order to compete over the ownership and prestige of gyms. This will be placing their captured Pokemon into a friendly gym by battling with an opponent's Pokemon in another team's gym. Gyms, just like Pokestops, are also found at real-world locations. As previously stated, as previously shared with you here, an early user field test will soon begin in Japan while the game is still in active development. Features, available language design, and overall appearance are not final. We're excited.
That is, holy shit. Okay, so all right. So I'm gonna throw this out there.
Mm-hmm.
How will the AR work for battling Pokemon? Because
yeah.
let me throw this out here. Imagine, if you will, you saw how that video worked. We're catching the Bulbasaur.
Mm-hmm.
It'd have to be a situation where you hold your phone up to see someone's Charizard standing in front of you, and maybe at the bottom corner of the screen you see the back of the head of your Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Then it turns into a regular Pokemon battle, or you don't do that. It doesn't become the AR thing, and it's just like the only time the AR works in that fashion is to catch, not to fight. That's really interesting. I'm really curious. Also, the fucking work with Google. I hope you're working with Google on this shit, because Jesus Christ.
That is a good point to bring up. I kind of wonder, what are they using for that GPS tracking? Are they working with Google? Are they working with Apple because they have that already built in? Like, who knows? Who knows? That's cool. I mean, like, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm see what they do with it. We'll see. We'll see. I think that the idea, again, pie in the sky, that if it does work out as intended, if it does work out to where you use your phone and you can battle somebody else, and say that, Charizard is out in the front of you, but like he goes up in the sky, like you can track into like a small screen of your Pokemon in the corner to see what he's doing at the same time. That's cool. But we'll wait and see. It's almost
the
potential is awesome. It's almost too good to be true. I'm still sitting back and kind of being skeptical about this, but like, wait and see. But we'll see how this goes. But yeah, it's a lot of potential for sure.
Yep. Yeah, that's fucking nuts. Like what you just described there, which I hadn't read. If they can get that to work right, like, because I'm also thinking of the implications. Like, are you gonna see? You gonna see just random people walking in holding their phone up like they're filming?
I mean, it's not too far from the truth. I mean, don't we already did it when we like tweet out or do vines or do video recordings anyways?
This is also Pokemon. I mean, like, I feel like, because like the thing about vines, the thing about pictures and stuff is it's short.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like catching a Pokemon is going to be a bit longer.
That's true. Very true.
So I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm excited for Go. I think it's gonna be fun. I think people are gonna love it. I just you got to put the implications there. Like, you're gonna see some weird fucking people walking around just like, look at my phone.
Yeah.
I'm catching Pokemon. You're like, all right. Did someone put his helmet on today? Someone...
Can you imagine somebody in class like having that like just hauled up the entire time? Teacher like points it out, like, "What are you doing?" "I'm catching a Charizard." He's like right next to you. Yeah. So
That's nuts.
it's cool, but we'll definitely see what happens. So the next story news, I think, something that I talked about last week a bit, but wasn't quite sure. But this week, you know, it seems to be more. It seems to be something that's happening not only to Microsoft, but now Sony's jumping on this. Specifically, I'm talking about is that Sony. Oh, I didn't have a video for this. Okay, that's fine. Sony has said that they are working on a PS 4.5 or 2.0 of the PlayStation 4 for the 4K resolution, and this was rumored because there was talks about that GTC, and there was information being leaked out about this idea, and since then there's some more digging, and I'll read this from YourGamer.net. And the title is, "We know PlayStation 4.5 is real, but why is Sony making it?" And they say, so what do we know about the rumored PlayStation 4.5? In the wake of last week's post-GDC outing of the hardware by Kotaku, we have already independently established that it's real and that Sony's R&D labs have prototype devices. We also have more than one source referring it to the PlayStation 4K. The name we'll be using for now. And this is where things become slightly strange, because while more GPU power is being offered to developers, realistically, it is nowhere near enough to provide native 4K gaming at the same quality level as a 1080p titles. The full extent of the spec is a current focus of inquiry for us, but realistically, it is simply impossible to cram the equivalent of today's top-end PC graphics hardware into a console-sized mass-market box. And you can read the entire article on YourGamer's website, YourGamer.net, called "We Know PlayStation 4.5 is Real, but Why is Sony Making It?" So here's the thing. It seems to me that, from what I'm reading and what I've seen so far from other people's reporting, that it seems like, yes, we are getting a Sony 4.5 for 4K TVs. And essentially, what they're doing is they're making a better PS4 than what we have right now. Now, is that fair to people who bought the PS4 right now or bought recently? No, it's not. But it's basically Sony saying, like, we're going to have a better console, and it's a part of me is saying like it's going to divide the market, but at the same time, like this thing already happened. Microsoft had the Xbox 360, the original came out, then it came out with the Elite that was better. A sleeker design was much more powerful, was a bit more powerful than the original. Did it divide people then? No, it didn't. So a part of me says yes, part of me says no. I think people are I won't say angry, but like could potentially, be rightfully angry because like,
Well, the thing with 4K gaming, and I think that the people who are angry aren't thinking about this, is you need a 4K TV to fucking display it properly.
Yeah, because literally, like, those are like 4K, and I saw this 4K. You have, I'll use the screen. The picture of the screen you guys are watching right now, now divided by 4s and like in 1080p for each section of the screen. That's what you get in 4K resolution, and 4K is glorious. Goddamn. The question. Really,
yeah, absolutely.
The question then becomes like, if this is going to be something that Sony's going to bring out and say that 4K is going to be the future, is there games going to be specifically that's going to take advantage of the Sony 4.5 and the 4K resolution? Also, how many people have 4K TVs right now? Honestly,
yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things. They did say there's some talk that's saying that they will bring this out at E3 and they have more discussions about it. And again, like I said, the entire episode, E3 is gonna be a very, very interesting year this year. I'm just very, very curious to see what they say. I think it sucks for people who I know who have a Sony PS4 only to realize that there's gonna be a better one coming out pretty soon. And it's almost in the same lines of Microsoft from last week. Like Microsoft was also kind of touting the idea of like potential like other consoles that they may not be working on to upgrade, the Xbox One. I'm kind of curious to see what happens. Like there's been talk of saying that maybe the game industry console market is trying to go after the Android or the phone market. How like Apple releases a new phone every few years of the same iteration of the same thing, and it's sounding to me like the console market in the game industry is kind of going after that. So I don't know. I don't know. Part of me is like,
yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation because I don't know. It's a hard situation to kind of say what they're planning and what they're doing when we just like this podcast has become just us predicting shit.
Oh yeah, part of
at least this episode, at least.
Yeah.
I said at least twice. That's third time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Sony has planned. I trust that what they're doing is for the customer. If they come out with the 4.5, I would sincerely hope that it's like an attachment to the console that increases its ability, or if it's a new console entirely, they're just kind of like, hey guys, we have this new console. We're gonna stop making the older one, and this newer one's the same price, but it works on 4K TVs.
God, that would suck.
Well, not necessarily. Like let's say, for example, they stop making the old version, right?
Yeah.
When they start making this new one, like every company has done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the past recent memory.
Right.
And this new the PlayStation 4.5, it's the exact same price as the original 4. Okay.
So
my ear itched really bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you're following me here.
Yeah. So
I'm taking you for a fucking trip.
Okay, so I'm thinking $400 for this new PS4. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
It doesn't come with anything special. Maybe Uncharted, the special edition has all three from that was on the PS3, and a controller. That's all it has, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go, this console will work on both old TVs or TVs that aren't 4K and 4K TVs. Now, people who, I don't know, have the older version might be a little upset about that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, what would you rather have? A PS4 or not a PS4?
So, you do bring up a good point. What I would counter-argue is that people sometimes don't upgrade. Sometimes they stay with what they have right now, either be money issues or whatnot. For me, with this announcement happening this past week, I am sticking to the PS4 I have right now and not upgrading until I see a benefit of doing so. Now, I don't own a 4K TV. I own, pretty good, HDMI screens I own here at home. And I use it to play the PS4 on sometimes. I'm not really in a rush to upgrade it yet. If it comes to a point where, let's say in the near future, 5 years from now, that every game, or majority, 90% of the games are being developed specifically for the PS4.5 or later version of that, then it's going to be a case where, yes, I have to upgrade. It's the same case with my iPhone. Sometimes I don't upgrade my iPhone because I know, like, the update they put out, lowers or slows down the iPhone. But when it gets to a point where it becomes super slow and I have to upgrade the new software, then yes, I have to. So for me, it's essentially like I'm going to stick to what I have right now until, I feel like I have to upgrade to a new system. Which, if Sony's playing this game, if they're playing the mobile iPhone type of idea market, then theoretically we will have a 4.5, 5.0, 5.5, and so on and so on. And we'll have this continuous cycle of different consoles of the same console but more powerful version. And 4.5, they're going to increase the power of the PlayStation for developers to let them, develop for these games. Now, whether the case that the fact that the games have been coming out for the PS4 and Xbox One have been buggy or slow compared to the PC version of it, is that an indictment on the console themselves, or is that an indictment in the fact that these games are coming out not as completed or not as fixed as they would be? Or is it the fact that nobody is still figuring out how the PS4 works in terms of developing for that console, because we have so many remakes and so many other games that are not new IPs or new games for these consoles, and we're kind of behind the times. So I don't know. It's a lot to
well,
figure
like
out.
technology. That's the thing about technology is it's always advancing and very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it is.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
PS4, goddammit. We'll see, definitely. Again, we'll probably, if anything, we'll probably have some discussion about this during E3. Whether we actually be right or wrong, who knows? But we'll definitely have some thoughts about it during E3 time. We got one last story for today, and it's about CryEngine 5. So CryEngine 5, or the guys who made it, Crytek, came out and they showed off their new engine. Now, normally, a new engine, new pretty graphics, it's all well and good, it's fine. What I do like the trend of is I like the trend of these companies who make this UI and these engines for free, essentially. They're making them, but they're putting them out there for free. They're letting artists and people who want to experiment with the engine can do so, make assets, sell them online. They get a profit, so does Crytek, and so on. This is the same thing with Unreal Engine as well. They're doing the same thing, so it's Unity. I'm liking the fact that these companies are definitely putting out their these programs and engines for people to go out there and play and use and definitely take advantage of and create content per se. So it's really cool. I'm definitely digging this trend, and I hope that this keeps continuing on, because in the yesteryear of game development, it was a lot harder to get some of these programs that cost thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Now it's essentially much easier. You can download, CryEngine 5 right now, and you can say like, okay, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to make a hand, a robotic hand, and anybody can use it for like $5, and I get a cut of it, and so does, freaking Crytek.
Yeah.
So I'm
that's very rad. Like I'm totally with that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I mean I have nothing else to say to that, because that's a really cool idea. I think I kind of talked about that when Valve was doing their thing with mods.
Yeah.
I like that idea that a company kind of gives the ability for just about anyone who wants to do it the ability to do it. It's just now it's like, because it's ours, we're still going to make money off of it, but you guys can use it to make amazing things.
Yep.
Well, we make other amazing things. People might argue that it's shitty because it seems like the company's trying to get out of making things, but also at the end of the day, like, they're working on other things. They're working on the next big thing, while you're working on something cool within the last big thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
definitely.
And who knows? Maybe your game that you make that use that mod, Crytek contacts you and goes, or not even mod, just game. Crytek contacts you and is like, hey, do you want to make a full version of this game? We'll get you a whole team, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah. Definitely.
Get on it.
Definitely. It could be you. Anyways, that's going to do it for our show. So, again, thank you guys for coming by, or thank you for watching on YouTube. Also listening to us on iTunes and Stitcher. Before we go, Greg, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Facebook under Chub Rock Geek. I don't post a ton, but I do post when I'm doing things. You can also follow me on Instagram at ShowBrockGeek. I do post things there frequently. That was probably loud, and I realized that I shouldn't have slammed that closed. I also stream every single Saturday on Half Empty Energy Tank. That is twitch.tv/Half Empty Energy Tank, all one word, obviously, because it's a URL. But yeah, come hang out. We have a lot of fun, friendly people in the chat. We can have a conversation about video games. We can whatever you want. Tonight I'm playing a game called Lords of the Fallen at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It's basically a Dark Souls clone. So that should be interesting to watch me play, since I fucking can't stand games that are like difficult for the sake of being difficult. Also, something I'm going to talk to Anthony about when we shut off this podcast, I'm going to be working on a new show.
Yo!
Don't have a title for it yet, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So, and that'll be going on to the Mission Start Podcast YouTube page when the full first episode's ready to go.
Woohoo! Secrets. Awesome. Awesome. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can follow the work that me and Greg do on our website at missionstartpodcast.com, and I'll bring up the end slideshow. So, if you enjoy this podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, on our website, please do subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and our YouTube channel, as well as on his Twitch channel. We do this every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. at this time. But you can definitely check out in the podcast section of our website for Mission Start Podcast, which you can also look up on iTunes and Stitcher. If you enjoy convention talk, if you enjoy us talking about conventions we've been to, conventions that we normally talk about our experiences about and our thoughts about it, more like a review, check out the Carnover Podcast, which is also hosted on our website in the podcast section, as well as iTunes and Stitcher. Right now, I'll guarantee you there'll be 2 new Carnover podcasts coming up. One for this weekend's WonderCon, and from last weekend's was it Silicon Valley Comic Con. So we'll definitely have those. We'll have those podcasts up in the next 2 weeks, so definitely be on the lookout for that. If you enjoy comic books, if you enjoy entertainment, HBO, movies, definitely check out the Rolling 20s podcast hosted on our website, and also hosted by Jeremy Wilson, on our website and on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as YouTube. One note I do like to point out before we end the show is that, back to me. So you might have noticed that there were some new episodes of our previous podcast episodes on our YouTube channel. So definitely we're caught up. So the rest of the Rolling 20s and the Carnival episodes will be up on our YouTube channel, in future episodes as well. It's something that I've been trying to get down and figure out, and I finally got it around to it. So definitely keep a lookout for that. Again, that's at youtube.com/missionstartpodcast1, because I think I butchered the same name, or somebody else did, and I had to put a 1 on the end of it. Anyways, with that being said, thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next week.